I think most of queer films have to do with either coming out stories or love stories. In the past, it was basically sad love stories. In the recent years, there are also some more not so sad love stories. Um, this film is about the friendship. I think queer friendships are very rich, narratively speaking, relationships because it's whatever a friendship between men can be, with the antagonism or the dude side, but it's also a potential love relationship, and most important, it's a family relationship because for queer people, their friends substitute families in many different ways, like from spending Christmas together or going to the hospital with a because many times queer people are alienated by their biological families. So yeah, I felt that the need to portray this friendship. However, it's not in the core of the narrative. I mean, what I mean, it's the queerness of The Summer with Carmen is the setting. The actual story is a story about a friendship, so it could be a straight friendship or any other sort of friendship. It's a very self-conscious film, yeah, and yeah, this is something that developed along the way. I mean, from the beginning of the film, of the script writing, it was a film within a film, but along the way of the writing, this became more and more complex and more layered, and then this layer of script writing theory came inside. So it's also a film about the process of screenwriting. I really like script writing as a process, and I've worked a lot as a scriptwriter also, apart from as a film director, and I also teach script writing. So there were many things that I wanted to play with through this story, regarding the rules of what makes a good film. Script writing theory has way more rules, I think, than what are needed in order to write a script. The film, I think, is a comedy, but it's also, there's a lot of drama inside there, and I like to believe that the film constantly flows from really comic to sarcasm to drama to melodrama, and through melodrama back to comedy. There are many scenes where, and the music plays an important role to that. The music is quite melodramatic in many scenes, and the same score might start as a comic. It's too dramatic for what's going on. Like, for example, there's this scene where the main character has struggled leaving the dog alone at the house because the dog cries, and there's this extremely dramatic music plays. But the scene evolves in a way where the sarcasm becomes true drama. And so my intention is always to, I don't know always, but I like to play with with these subtle tonalities between melodrama and sarcasm and comedy. The film takes place in Athens. The story is split in two times because it's the present day and The Summer with Carmen, which is 2 summers ago. The present day is set in Limanaki Beach, which is a real location. It's an amphitheatrical rocky beach at the south of Athens, which is actually a real queer landmark. It's a place where many queer people go. There's also cruising taking place, but also other activities like writing a script or playing music or just being crazy with your friends. And the film actually gives a lot of space for this. And I believe that it somehow pays justice to cruising places, because most of the times we think of cruising places as a very sexually charged place where kind of mystical or dark or sensual, but there are these, but the cruising place can also be a safe space, and I wanted to show this side of cruising places. And it's also a place where very diverged people meet, and with really different goals, and the film tries to portray this. I think the film is kind of like a slice of life of two queer friends. So if you want to be sincere about this slice of life and have the whole slice and not just a part of the slice, nudity comes along, because if the story takes place in a beach where there's a lot of nudism, then there will be a lot of nude people around. And the sex scenes are inherent to the story, because it's not just to show that the character is having sex. It's to show how he's having sex, how the same character, you see him with his mother being like a, kind of like a child, and then you see him with his new lover or first time sex, where you suddenly see a completely different side of him. So if the theme of the film is identity, the sex scenes are an important part of this identity. So it's another way to explore the character. Well, the Carmen is a dog. The name of the film comes from the dog. It's not the main character, but it's a catalyst. And I think the dog is kind of like the currency of love, in the sense that whoever needs love the most has the dog. Because throughout the story, the dog passes from one character to the other. And overall, I think the Summer with Carmen is like a collection of love stories. It's one actual love story with an ex-boyfriend that there's love, but doesn't function anymore. There's also a love story between two friends. There's a love story with a troubled mother. And of course, there's a love story with the dog, the Carmen.